So you've got yourself a dog. Maybe it's a shelter rescue like Quincy. Maybe it's a young puppy. Um, you need to be able to teach it manners. It's the stuff that we call obedience training, teaching it to sit, to down, to come, to go fetch your slippers, or cuddle up on the couch with you. Whatever it is that you want to be able to ask the dog to do, and it will do it for you. That's where the dog is doing a behavior for you. And for that, we need to be able to communicate with the dog that they understand when they are doing the thing that we want. And you have less than a second to mark a behavior, to tell the dog, that one that you're doing right now, that's the one that I want. And so it's very helpful to have some kind of a marker. A marker is, just that, it marks behavior. That's the only thing it does. It tells the dog, when you hear or perceive the marker that I am giving, what you're doing at that moment in time is the one that I want you to do again. And it means you're going to get a reinforcement for that. So one of the basic rules of clicker training is, if you click, if you mark, then you have to reward, because the dog doesn't know if you clicked at the wrong time, if you clicked for the wrong thing, if you had a thumb twitch or something like that. So we always, if we do give the marker, we do reward. The marker needs to be delivered in less than a second. That's the time that you have to tell the dog, that's what I want. And it is always followed by the reward, which does not have to be food. It can be something the dog wants, as in sit and then come up on the couch with me, or lie down and get a treat, or shake a paw and get your supper, anything like that. And so it's always given when the dog is performing the behavior, and then the reward is given for that. So when you are teaching this, you have to teach the dog what the marker means. The sound of the clicker, the sound of your voice, whether you're using yes or yup or yip, or treat or mark, always choose a sound that is unique in the environment. And then the dog will respond by going, what am I doing right now? And I have to remember this one because I get something for it. So Quincy, sit. Quincy, down. So as you can see, Quincy, I asked for it, Quincy does the behavior, he gets the marker. Well, how does he know what the marker means? That is your first training session, and you only do this one time. And you can count out about 25 pieces of food there, and the dog doesn't have to be doing anything. You do not tell him what to do. He's just there. He's interested because you've got food, and so he's kind of focused on you about that. The order that you do things in training is important. If I'm going to teach Quincy what the marker, in this case the clicker, means, then I have to do it in the correct order or he won't learn. So if I am picking up a piece of food, Quincy's attention is on my hand and on the food. It is not on what I am doing. So I will click, then I will reach for the food, and then I will give it to him. And so you always have to do it in that order. The marker, yes, treat. Click, treat. I don't care what he's doing right now. You use their kibble. You're about to feed the dog his supper. It doesn't have to be special doggy training treats. We use kibble as much as possible to keep them on their regular diet. And you just count out 25 pieces, and you just start doing that until you run out of the 25 pieces. Then you can start working on the training, and what you can then do is add in something that the dog does know. Quincy, sit. He's kind of lousy at that outside. So sit, click, treat. So this is a behavior that he does know, apparently only occasionally. And so you ask the dog to do the behavior. While he's doing the behavior, you mark, and then you reach for the food and give that to him. when you're training something new, the dog has to understand what the clicker means, otherwise it's not helpful to you. So the little test is, after you've done your 25 pieces of food, you just wait a few seconds, the dog's a little bit distracted, and then you click the clicker. Do you have him whipping around looking at you going like, what was that? I just heard my clicker, do I get a treat? And yes, he does get a treat for that. Maybe he won't, maybe he ignores it. Some dogs take longer than others. Each dog is an individual. Young puppies might only take a couple of minutes to figure it out. An older dog, as in the case of one of my dopes, I wasn't convinced that she was on her clicker until she was about 4 days later. So usually it doesn't seem to take that long with most dogs. So take your time, test it. If the dog seems to be responsive to it, then you can start, training just a couple of practice sessions on known behavior, so the dog goes, wait a minute, if I do this, I hear that, I get this. Wow. And then you can choose, to start training something else. So the 3 methods that you can use in positive reinforcement training for teaching a dog what to do, you can do what's called luring. You have a piece of food in your hand, you use the piece of food to get the dog to stand up, or to back up, or to lie down. So I have the food in my hand, I'm using it to move the dog around. When he's in the position that I want, I click once only, that's all it requires, one click, and then I give the piece of food. So that's one method. Another method is called shaping. So shaping might be you want to teach the dog to turn in a circle, but you only get a little bit at a time. Quincy, stand. That may be all you get. A lot of dogs don't like it when your hand comes up over them. Find it. I tossed it for him over there, and he's lost sight of it, so I'm just going to toss another one, making it really obvious for him. So that is shaping. Shaping can also be teaching a stay, where you have the dog sit, and then you just wait for a little bit longer and a little bit longer period of time to pass, so before you do click. It's a bit trickier. It's something that you need to understand, how it's working. Capturing is, I consider, one of the most coolest and elegant methods of clicker training, marker training, and it is where the dog happens to do exactly what you want. So a lot of people can get their dog to sit, but they can't get their dog to do that. So obviously, if you've seen, Quincy will do this when I ask him to do it. But right now, he got bored, he didn't like to stand, he decided to lie down. So you can say, lure your dog into a sit, and you click for it, and you get him sitting, and it's really cool. You just can't get that dog to lie down. But guess what? Dogs lie down. And, so you just kind of wait for a time, and he's going to lie down. You're going to sit settling down to watch TV, and he's going to lay down then. Or he's come in for a walk, and he's going to lie down on his bed. And just be prepared with your food and your marker, and as soon as he lies down, you click and you toss a piece of food, but in the case of lying down, you toss it away from him so that he has to go get it. That makes him get up on his feet to find it. That way you can repeat the behavior, because if you just sort of ignore him long enough, eventually he'll lie down again. And usually this method, in the case of lying down, only takes maybe 3 or 4 repetitions before the dog is suddenly going like, wait a minute, if I lie down, I get something, let me test this out. And he very deliberately looks at you and lies down, and you mark and you treat. And so that's what I find so cool about capturing a behavior. So you have to practice with these different methods, but first put the dog on your marker of choice, something that they don't hear on a regular basis, so that it stands out to them. Practice with behaviors that they do know, and then just start training. If you click, you have to treat. And if you do it wrong, it doesn't matter, because the worst thing that happens to the dog is if you screwed up, the dog gets an extra treat. You thought he was about to lie down, but he didn't, and you clicked. Oh well, you or you know, were luring him, and you thought he was going to do, and he didn't, and you clicked. Or you had a thumb twitch, and you clicked accidentally. Um, all of that doesn't matter. You know, the only thing you want to learn from that is try to be a bit more careful the next time and not repeat that. But what the dog just gets out of that is, I heard a click and I get a treat. Yay! I like clicks. You know, or the marker word that you're using. Yes, mark, whatever. So have fun with it.